So I was listening to this message called Cut It Out by Jerry Flowers on YouTube. And something really spoke to me. So in the message, he was talking about how God will either bring people in your life to help you grow, or they will remove people from your life to help you grow. And it just brings me back to yesterday when I was at church. So recently, I started to volunteer at the youth ministry at my church. And this was the first month that I started volunteering. So this was week 4 for me. And I was really excited, but I knew like my shadow period was coming to an end, and I knew eventually I would be leading group. Didn't know when. I don't think they were gonna tell me. It was just gonna happen. So I was nervous about that, but at the same time, I was still ready. So yesterday, I get to church, I get all settled in and whatnot, and one of the ministry leaders, she came to me and she was like, "Hey, Tiara, like, how are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm doing well, excited to be here," because I had missed the week prior because I was on vacation. So she's like, "Well, I have an assignment for you," and I'm like, "Okay, what am I doing?" Because I went to the sign-in, like our sign-in sheet to see where I was stationed, and they didn't have me stationed anywhere, so I just assumed I was shadowing that day. And she was like, "I have an assignment. Like, we have this child, they have special needs, and we need someone to partner with them and stay with them throughout service." And like, in an instance, I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, I don't know if I'll be able to do this." But at the same time, I'm like, "No, I got it. Like, you'll be fine, Tara. Like, no pressure." So, she introduced me to the child, and I was just watching them because church had not started yet. So they basically just get to play games or whatever they want to do before service starts. So we're doing that. She just gave me a brief overview, like, this youth typically just likes to hang out in the back. They don't really engage in worship or group, but they do try to encourage them to participate. So I'm like, okay, no problem. So, church is getting started. So, I allowed the youth to decide where they were going to sit. So, I'm just following behind them. And the youth actually wanted to sit in the front. So, we were probably in row like 3 or 4. So, they started praise and worship. And at first, the youth was sitting down, but then the youth got up because, I was doing praise and worship, like dancing and singing with the kids. And the youth got up, and out of nowhere, the child got up and just started dancing and like clapping, and it really just warmed my heart because I'm like, okay, typically this is not their normal behavior, but out of nowhere, they just started, dancing and praising. So I'm like, awesome, like we're gonna have a great time. So that continues, and then um, there were times where they would sit down, but then they would get back up and in group. Um, they were there, but they didn't really participate, which was fine. But that experience just really warmed my heart. The child just had like such the biggest smile on their face. And when the parent came to pick them up, they asked me how they did. And I'm like, they did great. Like, we were dancing, we were singing, we were praising, all of that. And they were just so shocked because the youth never did that. So then the youth leader, she came and asked me, how was service, and I told her the same thing, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, like the youth must be really took a liking to you because that was just not normal for them." And I'm like, wow, like maybe this child was, helping me grow in my faith and my spiritual journey, because part of me joining the youth ministry was because, I wanted to grow, I wanted to serve, and I wanted to do more in my church. I didn't want to just, show up, attend church, and then leave and go about my normal life. So that was just my story time. That was, I guess, God's way of using me in that moment. And I'm so excited that I went to church, and I just can't wait to see what my journey continues to be.